We stand on the threshold of a great new age of exploration. Its ultimate destination, the furthest reaches of the universe.
3, 2, 1.
Good evening, everyone. How are we doing out there? Good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Frontier here on the campus of the beautiful Research Triangle Park for RTP180 Social Media. My name's Andrea Cash. I will be your guest host tonight. I own Andrea Cash Creative in Durham. I help small businesses and nonprofits in the Triangle with their communications and marketing, which means I spend more than my fair share of time on social media. So I'm excited that social media is the topic of the evening, and I'm excited to hear from our speakers tonight. The RTP180 team wants to thank RTI International for being our presenting sponsor. Yes, they make it all possible, and we are so grateful. Quick show of hands, who has never been to an RTP 180 before? Okay, see, welcome. Good to see you. So let me tell you a little bit about the mechanics of this. We have 3 speakers here tonight. They will each have the stage for about 5 minutes. After each speaker presents, we will go to our Q&A portion, which is also about 5 minutes per speaker. I will run around with the microphone. You'll raise your hand, and maybe you'll get to ask your burning question for our speakers. We're going to learn a lot tonight, but it will go fast. I definitely want to emphasize connecting on social media because our topic is social media, so we need to have a viral moment here. Hashtag RTP180, and our handle is Frontier RTP, Frontier RTP. I want to remind you that the Frontier has been home to creative freelancers, startups, STEM professionals, emerging companies since 2015. This multi-building campus offers free co-working and meeting rooms that encourage collaboration, as well as private offices and wet lab space where entrepreneurs and startups can grow. In addition to everyday co-working activities, the Frontier hosts special events like this, happy hours, yoga, tons of pop-up events. You're going to want to check out the full calendar at rtp.org. The mission is to make Frontier RTP a community rather than just a place where people come to work. So we're going to get to RTP 180 social media right now. Let's get to our first speaker. She is a graduate of NC State, where she received her bachelor's degree in communication with a minor in journalism. As a certified diversity executive and marketing campaign specialist at the Diversity Movement, she leads digital content campaigns that connect organizations with diversity, equity, and inclusion education and technology tools. Please welcome to the stage, Allison Bennett.
Hello, everyone. I'm Allison Bennett, and tonight I want to share with you just a few tips on how your brand can show an authentic commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion on social media. Oh, there we go. Awesome. So in recent years, there's been a substantial increase in brands that have joined the conversation about DEI on social media. And that's positive, but it's important to remember that it takes more than one-off statements to show a true and authentic commitment to DEI. As social media marketers, we should be integrating DEI into our social strategy for the long term. But first, let's talk about why that's important. Well, what it really comes down to is your brand reputation and how that reputation informs actions of potential consumers and potential employees. As our society gets more and more diverse, consumers crave authentic representation in marketing and advertising. In fact, 64% have considered making an immediate purchase after seeing diverse advertising. On the flip side, another study showed that 34% discount or boycotted a brand because they didn't see diversity in their advertising. We also know that DEI is incredibly valuable and important to job seekers, and social media is one of the first places people go to learn about your organization. So with that in mind, let's jump into some tips. First, as you're creating your strategy, you really want to think about where your brand fits into the conversation about DEI on social media. So you really want to think about why your audience follows you. What unique insight and perspective can you bring? What support can you provide them? So for example, if you do social media for a digital marketing agency, it might make sense to start posting thought leadership around inclusive marketing or digital accessibility best practices that your agency has adopted. And then you also want to think about what your organization is actively doing that your audience should be aware of. So maybe you have started employee resource groups, or maybe you are holding trainings for your employees. Those are all great things that you should showcase. But what's important here is that you're showing action rather than just telling your audience that you're committed to DEI. Which really leads into my next point, which is don't keep it surface level. You want to show meaningful action in your social posts. And you also don't want to post about DEI once and then never talk about it again. It should be an ongoing commitment. So I like this example of Pride Month because it's super easy to just go online and post Happy Pride Month. My organization is committed to LGBTQ+ inclusion, but that doesn't really show how your organization is committed. And you're not educating your audience on anything, so it's really not as valuable as it could be. Smirnoff has a really good campaign, the Color the Future campaign. This is a year-long campaign that they run, which is great. It goes beyond Pride Month, and all their social posts talk about the action that is behind that campaign, whether it's partnering with LGBTQ+ brands or increasing LGBTQ+ representation in their advertising. My next tip is to amplify diverse voices. A lot of times we think that we have to come up with all this new content on our own, and that's just not true. There's so much out there that you can tap into, so really look within your network and beyond your network for thought leaders whose messages you can amplify. Think about the partners you have and what messages they have that you can amplify. And then also look at the customer stories that you're amplifying on social media. Is it a diverse representation of your customer pool? My next tip is probably one of the easiest things that you can do and a great place to start. So you want to make your content as inclusive as possible. So one easy way is to make your content as possible. So you want to add alternative text to your photos that you post on social, video captions to any video content. When you're creating graphics for social media, make sure there's adequate color contrast. And then you also want to use camel case for your hashtags. Camel case is where you capitalize the first letter of each word in your hashtag, and that enables screen readers to read those hashtags. You also want to use inclusive language in your social media posts. This is really important so you don't unintentionally alienate anyone in your audience. So my best tip here is to just have the AP style book and the inclusive language handbook on hand to reference as you're writing your copy. And then look at the imagery that you use on social media. Does it reflect the diversity of your stakeholders and the customers you're trying to reach? It should. And then finally, don't work in a silo. Ensure diverse perspectives are part of the creative process from start to finish. This is going to enable you to come up with more creative ideas for your content, but it'll also help you check your content and make sure you don't make any mistakes, and also make sure that your content is resonating with the audience you're trying to reach. And with that, I think we can jump into questions.
I'm going to go over here.
I just wanted to ask for some clarification. What did you mean by alternative text?
Yeah, that's a great question. So anytime you upload a photo with your post on social media, you can edit it and add alternative text, which is basically just a description of what is in the photo. And then that way, people who are blind or have low vision can see what the photo is through the alternative text. Thank you.
Other questions? I'm going to go back here.
Do you have a top 3 of your favorite DEI brands?
That's a great question. I think that there are a lot of brands locally and across the country that are doing a really great job on social media, showing their commitment to DEI. I think SAS does a really great job with that. There are several others. But I also think there's some great accounts that you can follow that give you tips around diversity and inclusion. I think TDM does a great job of that if you want to follow us. Shameless plug. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
A couple more questions? I'm going to go back here.
Hi, thanks for a good talk. You mentioned the relying on thought leaders for additional content. I'm wondering who they are and how you identify these people.
Sure. I think that kind of comes back to also what your brand is and what topics within the greater topic of DEI that you're going to be looking to be a thought leader on. So my best recommendation is using hashtags to find thought leaders. There's also tons of great lists online that you can search in the space of disability inclusion, inclusive marketing, and so on.
Any more questions? Oh.
Do you have any knowledge or tips or tricks on B2B influencer marketing?
Yeah, that's a good one. I would say, again, I think LinkedIn is probably your best place to look for thought leaders in the B2B space. Again, just based on your organization and what you specialize in. So I would really start there. And again, use hashtags, potentially join interest groups on LinkedIn to find those thought leaders, and go that route.
Any more questions for Allison? I'm going to go to this side.
Where do you see the technology driving social media in the future? What are some projects out there that are in the works to make it better or just improve the technology?
Yeah, in the past and even currently, we've seen that there's a lot of algorithmic bias in social media and in technology in general, just because technology is made by humans, so there's going to be bias. Even with TikTok in recent years, there's been issues with TikTok prioritizing content of people who don't have disabilities and deprioritizing content of people who do. I think the thing to be aware of there is just awareness, and that's the first step to improve and mitigate some of those algorithmic biases.
One final question in the front row.
So in the same vein, should I stay on Twitter or go on Mastodon?
That really depends on what content you want to see. And I would say, you know, there has been a move for some brands to pull out of Twitter based on current events, specifically advertising on Twitter. It'll be interesting to see what'll happen. I don't have a great answer for that yet.
Thank you so much, Allison.
Thank you.
Great job. I knew that the Twitter conversation would enter the chat sooner rather than later, right? Interesting time to be talking about this. Now for our next speaker. He is Director of Integrated Communications at Raleigh-Durham International Airport, my favorite airport, where he leads RDU's social, email, and web outreach to travelers, airport employees, tenants, and the rest of Central and Eastern North Carolina. When not tweeting for the airport or hosting RDU's podcast, The Fly Angle, he stays busy parenting a toddler, performing as a local musician, and hunting for the nearest iPhone charging cable. Relatable. Give it up for Jake Potter.
New and improved clicker.
Yeah.
Thank you. How you guys doing? We have limited time together, so I'm not going to cover Twitter Blue. I'm sorry. This won't be about whether you should have a TikTok or how many memes you should post in a day. Please keep that number under 3, by the way. This is just going to be about kind of the experience of what the last few years taught me as a social media communicator and us as an airport about how to just grow closer to passengers and to the community. So 2019 for RDU was a banner year. We had 14 million and change passengers. We were setting records left and right, getting new airlines, getting new concessionaires. And then March 2020 hit, if you remember that time not so long ago. And it looked kind of like this every day. We lost 96% of our passenger volume in basically a week, which is somewhat like getting a right uppercut from Mike Tyson. I had never been in that experience. None of my coworkers had. We have all sorts of crisis communications manuals that don't talk about a multi-year pandemic. So we kind of went into listen mode. We didn't really know exactly what to say, so we didn't say a lot. If 2019 was the year of thrive, 2020 for us was just the year of survive. We slashed our entire budget across the airport, but we also just want to focus on like how we're going to get to the next day operationally. It was hard for us to think about. If you're familiar with like the hierarchy of needs, you know, we got down to that really core basic level of like, we just have to get the next flight out the door, the next tweet out the door. And so we talked about kind of mundane things, about like, we missed wearing pants and haircuts and you guys, because it was genuine. It came from a genuine place. We hadn't even arrived. This was in April 2020. We hadn't even begun the conversation of public health as an airport authority with you guys yet. Nobody was back to experience that yet. We hadn't even put up the 6 feet separation signs. So, you know, as it went along, we didn't know what to say, so we didn't say a lot. We wanted to just listen. So the thing that I learned from that was just, and it's funny as a social media person, to just unplug and talk to people did so much for us from a strategy standpoint. We just went and talked to the few people who were in the terminal about what do you need? And really quickly it became clear. How many of you guys, just quick show of hands, how many of you guys flew in 2020? Okay, not a lot. Did it feel kind of like Mad Max, the movie? You know what I'm talking about? Just lawless, crazy passengers and people everywhere. But so we injected humanity into what we said because everybody, myself included, needed that so bad. We were, we're not just airport employees, we're also human beings who exist in the world. In 2020, that was coronavirus, that was George Floyd. Like, we were experiencing these things along with you, and we just sorely needed that moment of humanity. So our posts started having human faces, or at least the top half of them. Andy, in our guest experience department, graciously volunteered to be the guinea pig for a few of these. And so when we started putting out public health communication, it was about the humans of RDU and the humans who were going in through the airport doors every day. It wasn't about airplane pictures. It wasn't about, hey, we can come fly to Mexico for this amount on this day. We would get to that, but first we had to solve this problem. And so 2020 was the year of survive. 2021 was our year of, hey, we're going to get back to business. We didn't know how or when or if it was even possible, but we tried. And so we started turning the lights back on different products, like parking lots, the observation deck, which this is probably our most popular post of the year, if you can believe it. It wasn't like super fancy, but man, that place was packed that day. We thought about ordering a food truck. But yeah, it was just, people were just so excited to get some normalcy back in their lives. And we, from a social media messaging perspective, wanted to just drill down to that humanity. Like, this is what people care about. So we really kind of leaned into that. Like, we asked people, what do you need? Again, that refrain is becoming familiar. And one of the things we heard was that, we had a lot of new flyers. I mean, if you've been to the airport recently, this is still the case. We used to be a business airport. We're not really that anymore. I call it a bleisure airport. We're business, but a really healthy dose of leisure. So these are all people who, a lot of them had never flown with RDU. Some of them had never flown, period. So we wanted to try new ways to deepen that relationship with people. One of the ways we did that, we started a podcast. It's called The Fly Angle. We are still one of, I think, now 3 airport podcasts in the world, which is a pretty healthy number. It's like 300% increase, right? 30 minutes every month, me and my coworker get on the microphones. We get a guest from around the community or around the airport campus, and we just drill as deep as we can into airport life. What's it like to just close your eyes and hear the terminal, on any given day? And it's been great. I mean, the feedback has been incredible. We've had all sorts of crazy guests from, all corners of the airport, FAA, TSA, too. We had the CEO of Raleigh Brewing came on, which was fun because we got to talk about my other favorite topic, beer. So, and so if 2021 was the recovery year, 2022, we were going to synthesize all that stuff that we learned by shutting up and letting our customers tell us what they needed into a social media strategy. And so I'm going to really quickly go through this chart. It's the only chart, I promise. We're a chart people at the airport. These blue bars you see here are the volume of inbound messages that we have year over year. And the one at the end, 2022, is 9 months worth. What you can see there is that number just continues to go up. Now, what I'll remind you, in that teal line graph, that's the number of enplanements per year. So really quickly, you see an odd trend. 2019 was our banner year, right? That's the most passengers we had ever had as an airport. We also had a record for the number of inbound messages. Well, even though our enplanements went down, our inbound volume just absolutely exploded. So this is a behavioral shift in how people are interacting with the airport. It's probably not just happening here. It's happening at every airport. It's happening with Wake County. It's happening with Durham County. It's happening with Frontier. People, when they think about customer service and that human interaction, they're going there first. They're not calling us. They're not emailing our customer service desk. They're tweeting at us. They're DMing us on Instagram, asking, what the line is going to be at TSA the next day. So those are just, it's just part of what we are. And we started saying, okay, well, look, we can do that, but let's take it a step further. Where can we go and find conversations with people who don't even know yet that they can be interacting with us in a digital sense? So we are now the first and only airport on Reddit. Any Redditors here? I actually gave this presentation at an airport conference, and they were like, "What's Reddit?" So we are now still the only airport on Reddit. But it's been, it's amazing. We went in there to listen. We don't post anything. We just hop in random topics and reply as the airport, the royal we. And it's a lot of surprise and delight, and I mean, it's been amazing. We will probably be doing this forever because of how the reception was with people just saying, you know what, I'm so glad you're here. And that's all we ever wanted. So if you leave with 2 things today, one is before you ever type a tweet out, just talk to your customers. Just find out what they need. And the other thing is, if you take one other thing here from me today, it's that Raleigh-Durham is not a city. And I have oh, wait, hang on. I promised you no memes. I have one meme. Maybe not. I think it got swallowed by the PowerPoint. Oh, no. That's all right. That's what I've got. I'm really upset. That was a great meme.
Questions for Jake? Probably not about how your flights will be next week, busiest travel week, right?
It will be very busy. Get here very early. So,
questions? We'll go right here.
Thank you for a great presentation, and
Thanks.
Thank you for leading the way, as it were, in airport society. What is the biggest chatter topic or the biggest complaint you get as far as Raleigh-Durham Airport?
The biggest complaint we get is that we are growing fast. Everybody has an idea of what they want the airport to be, and it's usually the most recent time. It's a time that they went to the airport in the past, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news. That RDU is gone. Like, we are growing so fast, just like this community is, and so our job, our mission, is to figure out how to do that sustainably. And that's not just on, in real terms of, how fast can we build a runway or how fast can we build a parking deck. It's how can we sustainably scale up our customer service online. So it's just making sure that, so we talk about, you've ever heard us use the phrase world-class experience in the news? It's a really real thing. It's actually our mission. We encode it in everything we do. And so it extends to social media. It's that, the experience that you want from RDU, we can't let that degrade just because more people are coming. So that's probably it.
Does your social media presence have an impact on airliners communicating and reaching out to you for, competing for that space at your airport?
Yeah, we're a little bit, sure. They kind of do their own thing sometimes, and not all airlines are created equal. I will preface this by saying that we love all of our airline partners. But they are not all created equal. Some of them are hungrier on social media, and we recognize that. We will interact with them accordingly. We have great relationships with all of the people behind the accounts that you see. I'm personal friends with the main social guy at Southwest, for example. Whenever I'm in Dallas, I stop in to see him. But it's RDU's a hot ticket. We're growing fast, so they very much want to be a part of it. I'll give you an example. If you've been watching the news the last week or so, we just announced a crew base for Avelo Airlines, which is an upstart airline. We just announced a new airline itself that will start in February called Breeze. They are new airlines, and they were not born in the traditional sense of, we have to call the paper and tell them that we have a press release for them. No, they announced those routes on TikTok. So we're kind of reacting accordingly.
Do you guys do anything special for international?
Yeah, we actually had an international debut today, which is why I'm wearing the suit. I'm sorry, guys. Bahamas Air actually launched their flight to Freeport, Grand Bahama today, and Nassau. So if you need a flight to warmer weather today, like I do, you could start. Yeah, so international air service has grown precipitously in the last year. Probably the biggest success story we've had post-pandemic is Icelandair. Are you guys familiar with their new flight? They launched that service. It's our third transatlantic after London and Paris on a 737, which still blows my mind that they can fly, halfway to Europe on a pretty regular plane. And they have now extended the service twice. They announced it actually yesterday that they are extending it. The new season, they're moving it. They were going to start it in May. Now they're starting it in March, and that's just because the community has had that much enthusiasm for it. So we just kind of want to mirror that enthusiasm. We talk about Iceland a lot on our Twitter account. We have I've used more Google Translate in the last year of my life than I ever thought I would. But yeah, it's been great. Those international partners are growing fast, and we just want to make sure that they are getting the word out. So yeah.
Two things real quick. You talked about communicating directly in the airport with your customers. Do you offer an opportunity for someone to call the airport and talk to a person, a real person? And then the other thing, what do you visualize as your top 3 goals in communication with the social media?
That's a great question. Let me try to unpack the first one. So yes, before social media was ever a concept at RTU, they had a guest experience department. That department is still thriving today. You can call them anytime. The number's on, I don't have that off the top of my head, it's at rtu.com. Those guys are staffed 24/7. And actually, from a social media perspective, one of the things that we learned during the pandemic, and because of that chart I showed you, is that we can't do it all. I'm usually one of one when it comes to social. Like, I'm the strategy guy, the guy who's posting it, the guy often who's responding to you. And so I like sleep. And so I let them do a lot of work. Sometimes I will quickly push an inbound message off to them because they're the subject matter experts. So you can absolutely still call them. In fact, I'd encourage it. They're smarter than I am. So the other part about like our top 3 communication goals rather, to inform and educate is always going to be our number one. The way that we're structured, we actually don't have a revenue goal in our division. We're just here to make sure that you know what's happening at the airport, what the airport is doing in the next month, year, 10 years. So that's the big one, inform and educate. And then, other goals, just making sure that you get to the airport 2 hours early and that you use Raleigh-Durham correctly. So.
One final question right here.
Thank you for the talk. Do you have a mascot? And if not, why not?
Did you say a mascot? Oh, God. Well, that's a great, oh man, I haven't thought about that before. We should. I'm partial to Stormy and Woolly Bullets. It's a hard thing to top. We're open to suggestions. I guess maybe like 2 years ago it was an unruly passenger. But, so send your feedback to communications@rtu.com or tweet at us at RTU Airport, because we will absolutely take that straight to the CEO tomorrow.
I think your list of goals just changed. Thank you, Jake. Good luck with the busy travel season. Okay, everybody, now for our final speaker. She specializes in content creation and filmmaking. She joined the marketing and communications team at the Research Triangle Park back in August as their newest social media specialist. Please welcome Akila Driver.
Whew, the time has come. I don't have a clicker.
You don't need it? Okay.
No, thank you.
Got it.
I have been thinking about this all day. I'm like talking to everybody on the team, like I'm so nervous, and it's happening, it's here. But hello, good evening. My name is Akila. I am the new social media specialist here at Research Triangle Park. And I am so grateful to be here. Pretty much my job is basically, you go to out of office. You're having a nice conversation with your coworkers and your friends, and you see someone showing up really closely with a camera near you. Click. That's me. I'm not trying to be creepy. I'm just trying to do my job. But thank you for being so candid. Or if I am just grabbing a video of you getting your second beer at the bar, I am there. I'm not there to judge. I'm just doing my job. Thank you for being so candid. And I'm also the person behind a lot of our brands. But it's not just me. I have an amazing team. In fact, can we give it up for the marketing team right over there? Woo, 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 woo. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for my job. I say it to them all the time, and it's repetitive, but it means so much to me because getting a job here at RTP does so much for my journey in finding what it is that I'm passionate about and what I would like to do. And I'm going to share that story with you in hopes that you can skip a little part that I had to deal with. So before I started here at Research Triangle Park, I was what you call an influencer. Are there any influencers or aspiring influencers in the room? Okay, yes, all right, amazing. And does everybody know what an influencer is? No? Okay. No problem, I'm going to share it with you. So an influencer essentially builds a brand building a community of an audience. And a way to make money as an influencer is by partnering with brands and companies and being paid to promote their products to their audience. So for instance, say a toothpaste company wants to work with me. Akila, will you share our toothpaste with your audience? And I'm like, of course, brand. So I will go take a picture, make a video. Hey guys, this toothpaste is amazing. I love it. I've been using it for like a week. And if you want 20 cents off, just use my code, Akila20. Thank you. Hashtag link in bio. Hashtag sponsored. Hashtag ad. But I make it sound a little bit worse than what it was. It was actually amazing. I actually had a really, really, really good time spending as an influencer. And I actually started taking it seriously in 2020. We just talked about 2020. But not only did the pandemic hit, I had a baby, and I was dealing with postpartum depression. So one of the things that I really wanted was connection. And a way that I connect with people is through comedy. So I went on the good old TikTok and started making videos, and it was so much fun. I did it just because I really loved to do it, and then I got to have my first viral video. My first viral video was a silhouette challenge. Does anybody know what that is? I told myself I wasn't gonna ask that question because the silhouette challenge is a little wild, but I did it in a different way. I transitioned into, it's like a song, and then it's a whole thing. But what I'm gonna say is, I ended up in an inflatable dinosaur costume instead. It went viral, and it was amazing. I'm like, Mom, look, I made it. Look at me. You found me on Twitter before all the things. There were celebrities that shared my video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I made it. Easy money. Let's move on. Next, this video, 1 million views in like 2 days. 2 million views. I mean, it was just going. I'm like, I got it now. Cakewalk, I made it. Next video, 102 views. What? Okay. Surely I just need to do something else. Next video, 56. Oh. 2 million views on this video, and now I'm at 56. Now, to some people, like my husband, he was like, 100 views is good, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, I just had 2 million, what's wrong? I sought out the gurus. How do you make your videos go viral? What ways, what hashtags do you use? And this is when I got to meet this thing called the algorithm, where you literally chase it, but you can't see it, you don't know what it's doing. Just does its thing, mind of its own. And that's what I did, I chased it, right? So, Akila, what are you supposed to do? Okay, you post every day, you gotta stay consistent. Don't you want this? Post every day. Post in your stories at least 10 slides, okay? Respond to every single comment. Make sure you like those comments. Go on people that are in the same niche as you, which basically you're talking to the same people that do the same thing as you. Respond to them. Comment, okay? So just do it. Sure, this is what I want. It's fun. I'm famous now, of course. I gotta do it, you know. So that's what I'm doing, all right? Comment, like, share. Comment, like, share. And I'm going, all right, I'm doing it. It's fun. I mean, people are laughing. I went viral again. 11 million views on another video. Not to toot my own horn. That wasn't me. That was the algorithm. But we're doing it, right? But it got to a point where I kept posting for virality. I wanted to feel that feeling of going viral. That's what I was focusing on. That's what I did. Post, comment, share, like. Post, comment, share, like. But I'm tired. Keep going. This is what you signed up for. You're famous. We got to keep doing it. Post, comment, share, like. Post, comment, share, like. Post, comment, share, like. I got a brand deal. CVS? Oh my God. Post, comment, share, like. But I'm getting tired. Why? I like this community. I love making people laugh. I love making videos. Why am I so tired? Post, comment, share, like. Keep going. If you want to be vulnerable, show. Authentic. Hashtag authenticity. Keep going, Akila, go, go, go. I got a brand deal with Carowinds. I love Carowinds so much, and I was like, yes, we did it. Oh my gosh, taking the babies to Carowinds. And we are going. Come on, kids, let's go. Like, comment, share, post. Like, comment, share. Kids, smile, come on. Smile. Look like you're having fun. We're at Carowinds for free. Come on. Like, comment, share, post. Kids, what's going on? And that was the day it clicked. What is your purpose, Akila? What are you doing this for? Do you have an idea? It's one of my kids back there. Lord, I knew I was going to hear one of them. Do you know what you're doing this for? That day, I decided to put my phone away. I know I was in the middle of a brand deal, and I had a reel that was going to have to be posted like the following Friday, but I was like, I'm going to have to email them or something. Because it clicked when I looked at their little faces, their faces that lit up as we got to see everything as we were coming in, looking at me confused. Mom, we want to go to Camp Snoopy. Why do you want to take a picture right now? I put my phone away. We ended up having a cabana at the wave pool. Put it away. I said, come on, kids, we're going to the wave pool. I run out to the wave. 5, 4, 3, 2. And we're all jumping, everybody in here. And I'm having the time of my life. The kids are laughing. My husband's floating. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. But the laughter that I heard, the feeling that I felt, it was ironic because I've been riding a wave for a year. I've been trying to do everything right, catch the trends, but I didn't feel like how I felt when I was in that wave pool. That was the day I decided to deactivate my Instagram, and it's still deactivated to this day because I felt it was so important for me to find out more about the values that I have within myself, the purpose and the impact that I'm gonna make on people. It wasn't just about me. I didn't want you just to see what I'm doing. Hashtag blessed, you know? I wanted it to be not only where my story can impact someone else, but maybe can hold their hand. When I went through postpartum depression, that was one of the things I loved about social media. How am I doing that? So, I kept TikTok. I just couldn't let it go. I did stop posting a little bit, but it gave me the opportunity to think, and that's when I found Research Triangle Foundation. One of my values is community and progressing together as a people, as a community. I love creating videos. I love Reels and TikToks. They are so fun to me. And I knew that I wanted to be in a space that will allow me to grow professionally and personally, and be around people who are passionate about what they do and passionate about the movement in the Raleigh-Durham area and the Triangle. And so that's why I always say, thank you so much for my job. It's not just because it's a job. It was an opportunity for me to take that next step of knowing I am somewhere where my values align and where we're gonna make a difference in people's lives. So why do I tell you all this? Well, if you're interested in building a social media brand, I am going to be your biggest advocate because there's so much that you can do on social media. This keeps cutting out on me. Okay. There's so much that you can do on social media. But I truly encourage you to take some time and identify the values that you carry, the things that you want to see happen. Maybe even realize what your purpose is and put that out into the world. It doesn't always have to look good. It doesn't always have to be a trendy. It doesn't always have to be something that is constantly, something that you have to constantly do. Be authentic in your process too. You can be authentic on social media, but be authentic in your process. Allow yourself to live. See what you want to see. After all, there is so much power in the internet. There is power in social media. But there is power in you, in your story, and the change that you're going to make in the community. Thank you.
questions for Akila? Go back here.
Just drop it.
Hi, thank you, Akila, for that presentation. I just want to know, how do you stay true to your passions?
Thank you. Good question. I think that one of the biggest ways that I have found that you can stay true to your passions is doing the things that you think about, or you see somebody else doing it, it kind of gives you this feeling like, oh, I want to do that, or I'm going to try that. Or if it's something that you've naturally done over a period of time. So if someone compliments you about the way that you do something, or you do something and you just love how it makes you feel, or the outcome of it, I think that's a way for you to find passion. But passion you can find every day, you know, just in your everyday life.
Other questions?
For the Research Triangle Foundation, what accounts do you run for them? Which ones?
Okay, so we have, it's an opportunity for everybody to pull their phones out. Okay, all right. I was just doing my job. Okay, so at Frontier RTP, we have Boxyard, the RTP, and Hub RTP. Yeah. Oh, on Instagram. Yeah, and we're on Instagram. We are on Twitter, LinkedIn. Yes, the RTP DEI Collective as well. Yes, absolutely.
One more question back here.
So for people who may be a little private, how do you get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm going to tell millions of people like how I feel and really show who I am without, and be okay if I look crazy in that, and still keep pushing, even against like the negative comments and things like that? Like, how do you push through all of that?
Great question. There's a couple things. First, I highly recommend making sure that you have a community of people in your real life to consistently pour into you. Because if you don't, and you focus a lot on social media, this at least was my experience, social media can start looking really large whenever you're in a space where you're really only there. So negative comments feel a little bit louder when you don't have people in your ear saying, no, look, that's just a troll. This person doesn't even have an Abby, and they're talking about you. You know, you gotta be mindful of that, but also take it one step at a time. Authenticity does not mean that you have to share everything about your life and how you feel. Allow yourself to process things in real time, and take that as an opportunity to, you know, kind of ease into it. You don't have to share everything, you know, but thanks for that question.
It's a great note to end on. Thank you, Akila. And that was RTP 180. How do we feel? Yeah. You ready for the bar to open back up, I bet, right? Which it will in 1 minute. I just want to thank again our fabulous speakers. Give it up for them one more time. I want to thank RTI International for sponsoring, and I want to let you know, yes, thank you, RTI International. I want to let you know that we are on hiatus next month for the holiday, so we are going to see you back in 2023. The bar is about to open back up. I hope you'll stay, network, ask our speakers a question. Have a great night. Thanks, everybody.